Someone asked me the other day, hey, what lenses do you take when you go out on the weekends to shoot? I said, I don't take lenses, I take just one lens. It's this one that I'm recording right now.
This is the Tamron 28-200 f2.8 to 5.6, and on paper, it almost sounds too good to be true. You get a wide 28mm for landscapes, a solid 200mm on the long end for details and compression. And somehow, Tamron even managed to give it an f2.8 aperture at 28mm. So the big question is, does this lens actually deliver in the real world, or is it just another super zoom with compromises everywhere? Let's start with the physical side of the lens, because this is where Tamron really nailed the concept. First of all, this is shockingly light for what it offers. At just under 600 grams, this lens feels more like a standard zoom than something that reaches all the way to 200mm. When it's mounted on a Sony full-frame body, like the A7 series, it balances really nicely. It doesn't feel front-heavy at all. The zoom ring is smooth, but has enough resistance so that you don't accidentally change focal length, and Tamron included a zoom lock switch, which I generally appreciate when throwing this lens into a backpack. Nothing is worse than pulling out your camera and finding the lens fully extended. I've been using this lens in real shooting situations: landscapes, travel, casual street photography, and video. And in this video, I want to give you an honest breakdown of what it does well, where it falls apart, and who this lens is actually made for. Build quality is exactly what you'd expect from modern Tamron lenses. It's not metal, and it does not feel premium in a luxury sense, but it feels solid, well assembled, and practical. Feature-wise, this lens is clearly designed with versatility in mind. The headline, of course, is the 28-200mm focal range. That covers an incredible amount of situations, from wide, environmental shots to tight details, without ever changing lenses. The aperture starts at f2.8 at 28mm, which is generally impressive for a lens in this category, and then gradually closes down to f5.6 at 200mm. Now yes, it's a variable aperture lens, and we'll talk about what that means in practice later. Autofocus is handled by Tamron's RXD motor, which is fast, accurate, and nearly silent. For photography, it locks focus quickly, and for video, it's smooth enough that you don't hear or notice it hunting. One thing worth mentioning is that this lens does not have optical image stabilization. Tamron relies entirely on Sony's in-body image stabilization here. If you're using a Sony body with good IBIS, it's usually not a problem. But if you're on an older or entry-level body, this is something to keep in mind. Now let's talk about image quality, because this is where super zoom lenses usually fall apart. Starting at 28mm, this lens is surprisingly sharp, especially in the center. When you stop down slightly to around f4 or f5.6, the sharpness improves across most of the frame. For landscapes and travel shots, I've been genuinely happy with the result. As you zoom in, sharpness does drop a little, especially toward 200mm, but it's still very usable. This isn't a lens for pixel peeping, and it's not trying to compete with high-end primes or professional zooms. But for real-world viewing, social media, prints, and YouTube content, the images hold up very well. One thing that really surprised me is the close focusing ability. At the wide end, you can get incredibly close to your subject, which allows for almost macro-style shots. Where this lens really shines is in real-world use. When I'm traveling or hiking, I don't want to think about lenses. I don't want to miss moments because I'm swapping glass or worrying about dust getting on my sensor. With this lens, I can shoot a wide landscape, immediately zoom in for a detailed shot, and then grab a candid moment, all without changing anything. That freedom is incredibly valuable. For travel, hiking, everyday shooting, and hybrid photo and video work, this is a lens that can realistically live on your camera, like in mine. If you enjoyed this kind of real-world review, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what kind of lens you prefer to use.
I'll see you all in the next video. Till next time, happy shooting.